I wasn't searching for proof. I was just looking for a few spare coins. Mara's purse is a black hole of forgotten things, a chaotic mess where receipts go to die and half-eaten gum wrappers find their final resting place. I expected to find a crumpled napkin or her favorite executive lipstick, that specific shade she says makes her look like she runs the world. Instead, my fingers closed around something cold and foreign. It was a thin plastic wand. 2 perfect pink lines. A fire alarm screaming in the dead silence. My mind refused to process it. A joke? An error? We were not us in the kid's sense of the word. Last month, she said her biggest burden was stress, not a baby. But then my memory, a meticulous hard drive of dates and details, started its diagnostic. My name is Ethan. I'm 35, and I salvage broken data for a living. I log everything, dates, passwords, bills, and I knew the last time Mara and I were intimate. It wasn't an approximation. It was an exact entry in my digital calendar. March 12th. The problem? It was late May. That simple arithmetic was a punch to the gut. The pink lines weren't an announcement. They were a confession. A silent admission made of cheap plastic and thrown into her bag with such careless abandon, it was as if she never thought I'd look. And in that moment, our home wasn't a home anymore. It was a corrupted hard drive, beyond repair. You can try to recover data, but all you get back is a fragmented, useless mess. That's what my marriage was. Corrupted files in a pretty case. Most men would have exploded. They'd have thrown things, screamed, demanded answers. Not me. I don't explode. I collect evidence. Patiently, precisely, like a ghost in my own house. Because the most beautiful part about a positive test is how negative things are about to get. Now let me throw this at you. What would you do if you found something like that? Would you confront your partner on the spot and blow everything up? Would you walk out and never look back? Or would you do what I did, zip the bag shut, smile across the breakfast table, and start building a case? Drop your answer in the comments. I'll be reading. And if you want more stories of betrayal and creative revenge, hit that subscribe button. Because trust me, this ride is only getting darker. I didn't confront Mara. I didn't throw the test on the kitchen table and scream, "Whose baby is this?" That's amateur hour. That's what TV husbands do before cutting to a commercial break. No, I zipped the bag, smiled at breakfast, and decided to do what I do best: collect data. If my marriage had become corrupted files, then I was about to build the mother of all backups. Step 1. Timeline. Mara claimed she was pulling overtime at Kincaid and Howe, the fancy law firm where she worked as an executive assistant. She'd send me texts around 6 p.m. Late night again, big case. Don't wait up, I'd smile at my phone like a supportive husband. But in my head, I was adding captions. Overtime indeed. Just not the kind HR approves. Step 2. Tracking. There's a little GPS unit you can slide under a car seat. Most parents use it to keep their teenage kids honest. I used it to keep my 31-year-old wife honest. Spoiler: it didn't work. 3 nights later, my phone buzzed. Ping. Her car was parked at Seacliff Harbor Inn. Not exactly a courthouse. Room rates by the hour, and if you slip the concierge a 20, they'll throw in complimentary champagne. I parked across the street in my Civic, engine off, sipping gas station coffee like it was vintage wine. The cup said medium roast, but in my head, it was revenge blend. I even raised it in a mock toast to the glowing hotel sign. At 3:17 p.m., I saw her. Mara, stepping out of her car in that black dress I bought her for our anniversary. The irony wasn't lost on me. Turns out I'd bought her uniform for adultery. And then came Julian Kincaid. Senior partner, silver hair, Porsche key fob swinging like a badge of power. That smug smile could have powered the whole East Coast grid. They walked in together. Room 412. Bingo, Room 412 became their Disneyland. Too bad I had the season pass. Every ping on my phone was another roller coaster ride I didn't buy a ticket for. Step 3. Receipts. Mara wasn't careful. Hotel bills tucked between grocery receipts, charged to our joint account like it was date night on my dime. Dinner for 2, room service champagne, and once a line item that read, "Romance package upgrade." I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, so I laughed. Because tears don't earn interest, but divorce settlements do. I built a folder on my laptop labeled House Projects. Inside it, subfolders, GPS logs, scanned receipts, time-stamped photos. Anyone else opening it would think I was planning a kitchen remodel. In reality, I was drafting the blueprints for her downfall. One Thursday, she texted me, "Working late. Don't wait up. Love you." Meanwhile, her GPS location popped up like clockwork at the inn. I zoomed in on the map, pinching the screen. Room 412. Love you too, Mara. By the end of the month, I had enough data to rival the NSA. Patterns, logs, and evidence that my marriage was basically a group project, where I was the only one showing up. Most men would have confronted her by then, but not me. No, I was enjoying myself far too much, because every ping, every receipt, every photo wasn't just proof. It was foreplay. Revenge foreplay. And if there's one thing Mara underestimated, it's that I don't get mad. I get organized. And organized men? We don't just end marriages, we archive them. I wasn't angry. I was curious. How far could humiliation travel in a small town? Turns out, humiliation spreads faster than free Wi-Fi, and with way fewer dead zones. Step 1. Flowers. Not roses. Too romantic. Not lilies. Too pure. Funeral flowers. A massive black and white wreath, the kind you'd send when somebody's legacy needed burying, delivered straight to Kincaid and Howe's glossy marble lobby. The card? "Congratulations on the new edition." Signed, anonymous. Reception panicked. Half the office thought Julian's ex-wife was expecting. The other half thought Mara was. Either way, gossip went airborne like pollen in spring, triggering sneezes of speculation in every corner office. Step 2. The printer. Law firms love their central servers. Efficiency, they say. But centralization is just another word for single point of failure, especially when the guy married to your assistant happens to be a data recovery specialist with too much free time. One tiny script, one perfect timer, and suddenly, every printer in the building sang the same chorus, over and over and over. Who's the daddy? 50 copies stacked on the paralegal's desk. 20 more fluttering in HR like snow. One page slid out mid-meeting with the governor's aide, landing face up between leather portfolios. Oops. Phones buzzed. Whispers multiplied. Julian's face reportedly turned the shade of undercooked chicken. Step 3. Home surveillance. Mara thought she was clever, slipping out while I was working late. Cute. The new doorbell cam caught everything. Her late-night arrivals, the smeared lipstick, the frantic blouse adjustments before she tiptoed back inside like an actress rehearsing a bad play. All of it stored in the cloud. Indestructible. Eternal. When I felt generous, I shared. A private link here. A forwarded clip there. Soon, the neighborhood group chat was hotter than daytime TV. People who'd never cared about us were suddenly tuning in like it was the Super Bowl. I wasn't destructive. I didn't slash tires. Didn't smash windows. I curated. like a museum director, but my museum specialized in betrayal. Each exhibit carefully arranged, perfectly timed, designed to make the audience gasp. And my masterpiece? The reenactment. Friday night. Mara was working late. I was working the projector I borrowed from a buddy. On loop, the doorbell footage. Mara, grainy but unmistakable, locking lips with Julian. Projected 20 feet high against our garage door. The neighbors came out with lawn chairs. Mrs. Chen from next door brought popcorn like it was a premiere. Someone even clapped between replays. It was the best movie night Whitfield had ever seen. Mara's headlights swept across the crowd as she pulled in halfway through the second replay. She froze, trapped between the real world and her 30-foot doppelganger, caught mid-kiss with her boss. The applause that followed? Priceless. Better than any standing ovation Broadway could offer. By the time she stumbled inside, cheeks blotched, mascara melting, the verdict was in. The jury of our small town had spoken. And small towns, once they latch onto a story, don't let go. I didn't do this because I wanted violence. I didn't even do it because I hated her. I did it because I had a question that needed answering. When betrayal goes public, who breaks first? The cheater, the lover, or the man who sits back, sips his coffee, and pulls the strings? Secrets travel fast in Whitfield, but nothing accelerates a scandal like a gala. Every year, Kincaid and Howe hosted a charity ball. Black ties, champagne towers, and enough ego in the room to power the town for a decade. And this year, Mara insisted she had to attend for networking. I let her go. After all, what's a gala without fireworks? Only this time, the fireworks weren't in the sky. They were on the screen. Somehow, and by somehow, I mean I spent a delightful weekend tinkering with the AV system. The projector in the ballroom developed a little hiccup. Halfway through Julian's speech about integrity and law, the feed stuttered, the screen flickered, and then, bam, grainy doorbell footage. Mara, in my driveway, kissing Julian like a teenager sneaking out after curfew. Looped. 10 seconds of betrayal replayed on a 40-foot screen, big enough that even the donors in the back row could gasp in synchronized horror. They wanted fireworks. I gave them neon signs. Julian froze, his polished speech notes trembling in his hand. Mara turned the exact shade of a spoiled tomato left too long on the counter. The crowd? Oh, they ate it up. Phones whipped out faster than guns in an old western. Whispers spread like wildfire. Laughter bubbled up, fizzing through the champagne glasses. The governor's aide nearly choked on his shrimp cocktail. By Monday, HR called Julian in for a private conversation. By Wednesday, the partners encouraged him to consider early retirement. And by Friday, Julian's Porsche was gone from the firm's parking lot for good, leaving only an oil stain and a legend. As for Mara, she discovered something brutal. In small towns, people don't like sharing the spotlight of scandal. Coffee invites vanished overnight. Brunch tables were mysteriously full. Her best friend Jenny suddenly needed space. Even the book club dropped her, which in suburban terms is basically exile. Me? I kept calm, made coffee, read the paper, and smiled at the headlines. It wasn't just revenge, it was theater. But Julian wasn't done. Egos like his never die quietly. One evening, I heard a knock. There he was, silver hair in disarray, green eyes frantic. He looked less like a senior partner and more like a raccoon caught in daylight. "We need to talk," he demanded. I stepped onto the porch, phone already recording. "You've made your point," Julian hissed. "You've humiliated us." "But this has to stop. I tilted my head. Julian, you're the one who started. I can make it worth your while. His voice dropped, conspiratorial, greasy. Cash. 20 grand. You walk away and nobody sees another video. I almost laughed in his face. Bribery? Really? That's your big legal move? His jaw tightened, fury bubbling under his expensive but wrinkled suit. You think you're clever, but you're playing with fire. Oh, Julian, I said, holding my phone a little higher. I don't play with fire. I let it burn. That's when he snapped. You ruined me, he barked. You ruined her. You ruined everything. And you just admitted it, I replied, nodding to my phone. The recording was clear, sharp, damning. The porch light illuminated his sweat-streaked face as he confessed, in front of half the neighborhood, who were most definitely peeking through their curtains. Mara was watching too, from behind the living room window. Mascara streaked, hair limp, arms hugging herself like she could hold in the shame. For once, she wasn't the star of the show. She was just collateral damage. Julian stormed off, humiliated, muttering threats that weighed less than his collapsing reputation. His Porsche roared down the street, but it didn't sound like victory. It sounded like retreat. I slipped my phone into my pocket, gave a casual wave to Mrs. Chen across the yard, and stepped back inside. Because in Whitfield, a confession isn't official until at least 3 neighbors hear it, and I'd just given them front-row seats. Mara lasted 3 days before she broke. 3 days of neighbors whispering, friends vanishing, strangers pointing at her in the grocery store like she was a headline in human form. On the 3rd night, she finally collapsed at our kitchen table. Mascara smeared, eyes hollow, hands trembling. "Ethan," she whispered, "please, we can fix this." I sipped my coffee, steady, calm. Fix what? The marriage? Or the PR crisis? Tears slid down her cheeks. The test. It wasn't real. I raised an eyebrow. Not real? It was positive, yes, but it wasn't yours. And it wasn't Julian's either. It was no one's. I bought it online. Fake. I thought if you believed I was pregnant, you'd stop drifting away. And if Julian believed it, he'd commit. I laughed. A dry, brittle laugh that cracked through the silence like glass breaking. So the only thing you were carrying was stupidity. She reached for my hand. Please, Ethan. I made a mistake. A terrible mistake. But I love you. Can't we start over? I pulled my hand back. Mara, marriages are like hard drives. Once they're corrupted, you can try recovery. But all you'll get is junk data. And I don't collect junk. Her sobs filled the kitchen, but to me they sounded less like sorrow and more like static. Background noise fading out. I stood, poured the last of my coffee down the sink, and walked upstairs. 2 weeks later, the divorce papers were signed. I kept the house, the car, and the peace. Mara kept her debt, her loneliness, and the kind of reputation that stains longer than wine on carpet. As for Julian, last I heard, he was consulting in Florida, which is lawyer speak for begging to stay relevant. And me? I sleep well. No more lies. No more double lives running in the background of my own home. Some guys hire private investigators, some key cars, some punch walls. Me? I just let the truth do what it always does. Destroy everything it touches. And honestly, watching it all burn down wasn't just justice. It was art. Now I want to hear from you. If you found a positive test that couldn't be yours, what would you do? Blow up on the spot? Walk away quietly? Or play it smart and let the truth destroy itself? Drop your answer in the comments. I'll be reading everyone. And if you want more stories of betrayal, revenge, and poetic justice, hit that subscribe button. Because trust me, this isn't the last time someone thinks they can outsmart the truth.